my God.
I want to go back to the Kirill Kaprizov signing that we mentioned earlier, or the non-signing, I should say.
The attempt.
To me, this is the attempt. To me, this is fascinating. He's one of the best players in the league, in my opinion, and he just turned down an $8 by $16 million deal. I think it could end up with him making a lot more money. It could also end up with him screwing himself based off what Connor McDavid takes if he takes a team-friendly deal. And it could also end up with him not in Minnesota at all. So where do you see this playing out? Because I think it's going to be one of the most fascinating stories to follow for the next, year if he ends up going to free agency next year.
Well, your last point, I think, is the most important one, which is that maybe he just doesn't want to be in Minnesota, which is kind of my takeaway from the whole thing. I mean, if you go by the reporting on this, he turns down a contract that would have been the richest in NHL history, richer than the contract Alex Ovechkin signed with the Capitals back, I think, in 2008. Okay, so he turns that down. Well, maybe he doesn't want to go 8 years. That was one of the theories from Minnesota fans. Maybe it was the years and not the money that was the problem. Well, Michael Russo from The Athletic is like, actually, they've never talked about a shorter contract than 8 years. Okay, so it's not the years and it's not the money. I mean, I ain't no math major, but putting two and two together, maybe you don't want to be in Minnesota is the situation. If that's
see, I told you. He wants to be traded.
I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm very interested because there's reporting that he loves it there and that they've been working on a deal. They're going to continue working on a deal. But I mean, when he turns down 8 by 16,
maybe it still happens. Who knows? But I mean, the bottom line for me is that you turn down that level of money. You're not looking for anything shorter term. What do you want? You don't want more money, or you've already gotten all the money, right? I've read reports of his agent maybe knows that there's an even richer contract out there for Kaprizov. Maybe there is. I mean, he's a fabulous player. He's a multiple 40-goal scorer over multiple seasons. He's also a guy that has some health issues, in the regular season. But ultimately, it could just be that he wants to move on, and that's why he's not taking that money. And again, to put on Johnny journalism hat for a second, I've been trying to tell people, just think logically where this news comes from. Is it the agent or the player being like, hey,
exactly. If I'm him,
I turned down more money than anyone's ever made in the NHL before.
Well, Bill Guerin said it wasn't either of them.
Teammates, it's me, Kirill. How do you feel about me turning down more money than you'll ever make in your lives?
He was at a captain skate. Me? He was at a captain skate when that report came out. How do you think that went when he went back
that's
to
what
the
I'm
locker
saying.
room?
So I would, I'm not saying I know this for sure, but I am saying that we've seen it before where if a team feels disrespected in a contract negotiation, it's usually the team that's putting out that news to the world that, hey, we did our best. And sometimes that we did our best messaging comes out before we have to trade him because we did our best and it wasn't good enough.
Oh, boy. Finally, what is the biggest story coming into the season?
Oh, that's a really good question. I mean, from a player perspective, it's Marner in Vegas and when that return happens to Toronto, just because he's now ratcheted up the rancor since leaving and playing this victim card. I didn't feel safe there, all this other stuff, and the debates about his legacy and what the Leafs are going to be without him. It could be on the level of the John Tavares return to Long Island, which is still one of my favorite games I've ever covered in my life, where they were putting his jersey in the middle of the parking lot and running it over with cars and throwing rubber snakes on the ice during the game because he left the Islanders. So from that perspective, it's probably that. I think obviously the Crosby situation and the McDavid situation, which we didn't really talk about, are both going to play out in interesting ways. Like, does McDavid enter the season without a contract for next year? Where does Crosby end up? And then, from a team perspective, and this is obviously salient to the folks I'm talking to now, we may be in the midst of a dynasty, and what is that going to manifest as? Have the Panthers made a mistake running it back with everybody on the roster and not trying to maybe turn it over a little bit more, or is this going to be a third straight cup and a fourth trip to the Cup final in 4 years for this team? Scary.
So that's it? Scary?
I mean, not for me, for everyone else.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. It's the cap's going up. Like they've got everybody locked up, and they're about to get $10 million off their cap when Bob is off the books after next season. So I feel like there's a lot of runway for the Panthers. To
Yeah,
keep
but
it
also
going.
then you have to replace Sergei Bobrovsky.
Yeah, and you can do that for
Which
less
is
than $10
terrifying.
million, probably.
No, for sure, but
I'll tell you that kid they got from Columbus. I'm bullish on that kid.
Tarasov?
Bill Zito once told me that he thought he was the most talented goalie that Columbus had in their system when Zito was an executive there. And Columbus, for what it's worth, does not have a Department of Goaltending Excellence like the Panthers have, and I'm intrigued to see
if anybody
they
can
maybe
scout goalies.
if they can unlock whatever has been locked up in this guy talent-wise, because I think he's really talented.
Greg Wyshynski from ESPN. He's writing about hockey, and we're getting back into it, folks.
Mm-hmm.
It's what next week? Next weekend? We're back.
Training camp,
Preseason
baby.
training camp
under a
coming up.
month.
Thanks, Greg.
Anytime.